Hello, my beautiful buds. Welcome back to my channel, Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you'd like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. It's the middle of winter, and so I think that my plants deserve pampering. We're in my bedroom where I have my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which is a rudsta wide, if you're wondering. And then I also have a relatively new plant setup that I put here with a standing Marina grow light. A lot of the plants in this area need some care. They all need to be fertilized. Some of them need some water. And I would also love to touch up on the leaves and just kind of generally go through and maybe cut off dead leaves and make sure everything is up to speed in this area. So let's hang out together and get that done. This is my first time using this mic, so I'm hoping that it sounds okay and that it's going well. I like it so far, but yeah. Anyways, let's see, where was I? Oh, I wanted to fertilize things. So I'm just gonna go through and give everybody some love. This is Hank's Green Stuff fertilizer, and it's just an organic fertilizer. It's very powdery. There are specific ratios that it instructs you to give to each plant depending on like the pot size and that sort of thing. This is a half of a teaspoon, and I usually will just do like a scoop for most plants or a couple of scoops if it's a bigger plant. I more so feel it out, which I don't know, like I would usually be more of a stickler in terms of following the instructions, but since it's an organic fertilizer and it very slowly incorporates itself into the soil, fertilizer burn isn't as much of a risk. So I usually just kind of give roughly a half of a teaspoon to each plant, and it's always been fine for me. And again, I might give it a little bit more if it's a bigger pot, but yeah, for the most part, each one just gets a little scoop, and it adds a bit of extra nourishment. So I've been trying to do this about once a month. Historically, I've been a really bad fertilizer. Like, it was just something I always forgot to do, and it's so bad. Because really, if you want your plants to thrive, you should be fertilizing them. They all need their nutrients. And technically, you also are like supposed to water it in, like the fertilizer. But usually I just kind of will go around and add it to all of my plants before I water, and I'm not going to necessarily water every single one of these plants in this area because they don't all need it. But you know, even if it's sitting kind of in the surface of the soil and I water it in kind of later, I don't think it's going to like go bad or anything, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna try to not make a huge mess because this stuff can get everywhere. And now to go inside the cabinet. Okay, I think that I fertilized everything. Yeah. Wait, no, there was one that I missed. Hang on. Oh. Give myself a heart attack. I think that I got everything. It's all fertilized, which is good. I mean, technically the plant doesn't really start benefiting until I water it and the nutrients soak deeper into the soil, closer to the root system, but at least the fertilizer is there. So now the next step, I want to go through and determine which plants need to be watered. Let's see. Yeah, this one definitely needs to be watered. I love these clear pots because you can very clearly see that the soil is dry here. Also, look at those roots. It looks so good. This is my Anthurium dark crystallinum crossed with papillanimum. I love this plant so much. And yeah, it's thirsty. And it makes sense because it's getting fairly rooted in there. I might need a repot kind of soon. But anyway, Also, I can tell because this pot is significantly lighter right now versus like right after I water it. I think that the moss on this begonia needs to be re-moistened. Ooh, it looks like it's starting to root up. Come on, focus. There we go. It's starting to root up a little bit. It's a little bit hard for you to tell because the roots are so fine. And some of the leaves are dying off, but there is a lot of new growth, so that gives me hope. This is gonna be featured in a future video. I wanna put it in a terrarium because I think that it'll do well in that circumstance. Let's see, my Anthurium crystallinum. I feel like I haven't gotten a new leaf from this plant in a while, which concerns me. Oh, there's a root coming out the bottom there. Hello. It's so fuzzy. It also could just be because it's in a cache pot, and I feel like roots tends to find their way to like the leftover water. I try to empty the cache pot usually, but sometimes it's just still moist. But let's see. I'm gonna grab the moisture meter for this one because it's harder to tell with these pots that are like bigger. It's just not as obvious and they're more opaque. I mean, it's registering as dry. I don't know. I don't like to only use a moisture meter to determine whether or not my plant needs to be watered, but I do think that it's been a little while. So I will also water this guy. Actually, my Syngonium strawberry milk, I had moved a second ago. There are also roots coming out of the bottom of this pot. Although this could also be a similar case of like cache pot issues. It does seem pretty moist at the bottom there, so I think it still could use some time before I water it again. Anthurium villanaeorum. Oh my gosh, look at this leaf, you guys. I just featured this in my January favorites. There, look at that leaf. It's even bigger now than when I featured it in my favorites video, I think. And it's still hardening off. But I think we're good. I watered it 4 days ago, I think. You're good. I think the Shangri-La pothos is good. A couple videos ago, I did some plant chores and repotted alocasias and found corms. You can't really see it, but this is what I wound up doing with them. I don't think I featured that in the video because I ran out of time. I think that I watered this varicosum the other day, so it doesn't need to be watered. However, it has surpassed the pole. I'm so behind on this one. I really desperately need to extend this moss pole. Did I say this is my philodendron varicosum? It's beautiful. But like, if I want these leaves to size up and continue kind of doing their thing, I gotta extend the moss pole. Ooh, this is my Anthurium magnificum that I put into no drainage. And look at this leaf. It's getting so big. This is a remarkably happy plant. This leaf happened right after I potted it into the no drainage. But look at how crazy these roots are going. They are going right into the leca, which, you know, maybe it's fine, maybe it's not. I don't really know whether I should be concerned about that or not, but there are lots of juicy roots growing. And if anything, I just love growing it in this glass vessel so that I can see the roots so clearly. I think that that's super cool. But it still looks pretty moist, like the soil is super dark and there isn't water down here with the leca, but I think that it could wait a couple more days until I water it again, so I'm not going to water this. I'm checking on all of my little Hoya babies, but I don't think they need to be watered. I think they're okay. I feel like I'm going way too long going through all of these. I don't know if you guys like that or not. Yeah, the variegated monstera adansonii also needs to be watered for sure. So I'm gonna start taking plants to the bathroom tub because that's the closest water source. That's how I usually like to water my plants that are upstairs. I just put them all in the bathtub and go through and water them. So I'll start doing that. And yeah, I would go through more of these plants. Maybe I'll do a few more, but like, yeah, I'm just gonna start bringing plants over. I really wish that I had a detachable shower head. I feel like that would make it a lot easier. And sometimes I do just turn on the shower and let it go, but I like the precision of having a watering can. And oftentimes, like, if I decide to use like the arbor plant food, which I'm not doing that today just because I fertilized all of these plants, so I feel like that's a little bit redundant to do. But yeah, when I'm using the arbor plant food, I mix that in using the water can. I just like dilute it with water basically. I don't know if you can hear, but my children are going crazy downstairs. My husband's wrestling with them and they're like screaming and laughing. But with this new mic set up, maybe you don't hear them. I don't know. While I'm waiting for those plants in the tub to drain, I'm gonna go ahead and refill the water reservoirs just a little bit for my alocasias that are in self-watering pots. Actually, I need to go grab the watering can to do that. So I've got this one. It really does not take a whole lot of water to fill this up. And it's not like all the way full necessarily, but I'm just topping it off a little bit. Then I also have this one, my Alocasia Adora variegata. And actually, because I fertilized it, I should have done this with the other plant too. But since I added that fertilizer, I think that I also want to like add just a little bit of water on the top of this, just to like water the fertilizer in. I think that's okay. And it's looking pretty good so far. All of the leaves are very much bending towards the grow light right here. So maybe I'll like rotate this. I have noticed that this Maranta Lucanaro lemon lime, I don't know how well you can see that with the light. The grow light's kind of making it a bit backlit. But I've noticed that the leaves that are facing the grow light specifically have been curling a little bit. And this could be just because it's a little bit thirsty, and I think I am going to bring this to the tub and water it as well. But since all the leaves that are curling are the ones specifically facing the grow light, part of me is wondering if it's getting too much light here, or maybe it just needs some more time to acclimate. I'm not 100% certain on that, but there are also a few leaves that are just kind of crispy, if you can see that. So I'm going to chop those off. Where are my scissors? I just brought some scissors up here. So yeah, kind of while I'm waiting, I want to trim off leaves. Any leaves that look lackluster, but I'm also going to set this aside to water it. And I think I also might want to clean the leaves too, because there are some like hard water spots on there. Oh, here's another no drainage plant. This Alocasia, I think I am also going to add some water to it because it looks kind of dry to me. So I added just enough to kind of cover up the leca. I don't know how well you can see that either, because again, it's a little bit backlit. Oh, this is actually a new plant. I went ahead and grabbed a Peperomia Hope for like $3. I've been trying to like not buy a ton of new plants, but this one was really tiny and cute and cheap. And I've been kind of wanting to get a Peperomia Hope. It's been on my radar for a while, but I've just never decided to go for it. But I'm glad that I got it because it's really small and manageable at the moment. And by the time it grows to be really big, maybe I'll have more room for plants. These plants back here, my Philodendron gigas and my Philodendron Jose Bueno, that isn't really a Jose Bueno because it's completely green. Those are both gonna need to be watered. So I'll do that. Jewel Orchid's fine, although I did recently repot it. Finally went ahead and did that, and I trimmed off all of the blooms. This plant, this is the Maranta Silver Band. I feel like it always has leaves that need to be trimmed off. I mean, it's always also growing, but like, it's always got a few crispy leaves. I think that it dries out too quickly, if I'm being honest. I'm going to make a couple of chops. Let's see. It's a little bit hard because I'm holding the plant too. I think those are all the dead leaves, but this also needs to be watered, so I'm going to set this aside. And there are definitely some plants up on top of the cabinet that also need a good old watering. Oh my goodness. This poor Stramanthe Trio Star. It needs to be watered so badly. Look at it. I have been so good about like not letting it get to this point where all the leaves are like curling in, but I think it's been drying out quicker because the air is so dry. In the winter time, we've been running our heater like very powerfully because it's been absolutely freezing outside, but it's made the air so dry that I think that that's maybe contributed to this drying out. And also I think it's root bound. Come spring, I'm gonna have to repot this thing because it is so full, and it's gorgeous when it's like actually watered, but I'll set this aside as well. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I gotta look at this whole corner. I'm kind of looking at the rest of these plants, and honestly, I think that they're all doing okay. Well, actually, maybe this Hawernia zebrina could be watered. And as for this Syndapsis, it looks sad, but I watered it this morning. It's also been drying out really quickly, but here, this Hawernia zebrina, I can always tell because it's like slightly squishy to the touch when it's thirsty, and when it's not thirsty, like it's very, what's the word? Not squishy. Tough? No, I don't know. You know what I mean. Also, before I forget to mention this, my gigas is misbehaving. So first of all, I need to add a pole extension, which I think might actually help this issue. But second of all, this leaf is facing the opposite direction. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it looks so nice and perfect for like the whole rest of the plant, but this one leaf is like,
no, I'm going to rebel.
I think it's because this north-facing window is right here and that light source is closer than this light source. I mean, I guess the plant knows. The plant knows. Let's do another round of watering, and then, oh my gosh, this is so zoomed in, dude. Let's do another round of watering, because I think the other plants are kind of drained enough. Then I want to use orchid mist on my Hoya linearis specifically, and I want to clean a few leaves, and then I feel like that should be pretty good. Okay, it's round 2 of watering, and we already have a splendidly realistic look at what my tub often looks like until I clean it. Now, I try to not leave my tub super messy. Can I fit everything in one go? Yes! I think I'm gonna turn on the shower just to get a head start. The one downside, I mean, it just takes such a long time for this watering can to fill up. I mean, okay, it's like 30 seconds. It's really not that long, but it feels like an eternity when you're trying to get all of your plants watered. I guess that's the one con to the watering can, is the refill time is just, But you know, it builds character, right? This gigas is absolutely going to need some sort of a repot and pole extension so badly. Maybe, I mean, the pole extension will hopefully come within the next few weeks, but the repot, maybe that'll be part of like a big spring repot video or something. I don't think I'm gonna have time to clean literally every single leaf here, but I'm just gonna go through and kind of pick, I think, some plants that need it the most, that have gathered a lot of dust and grime. And I'm just gonna go through with this little cleaning solution that I have here in a microfiber cloth. And it's literally just water, lemon juice, and dish soap. I think in the past I might have added something else to it, but this is what we're doing today. And you know, the leaves did get like wet from the water, but you know, sometimes that's just not enough. Sometimes you just need to actually take off all of the dust, wipe as many leaves as you can muster the strength to. There are a few leaves with water spots, but where are they? I don't know. I'm just gonna do what I can. During the wintertime, do you guys feel more motivated to care for your plants or less motivated? I can't decide how I feel, because I think in general, wintertime can sometimes be like a big old slump where like you don't want to do anything because it's too cold to move. But at the same time, I think if I want to do anything at all, it's either like organizing inside because it's getting so stuffy, you know, because you're inside all the time and I want my space to be nicer, or I want to take care of my plants. Mostly because it reminds me of the outdoors. It reminds me of like where I grew up in Florida, where it's warm. And I don't know, it's just tropical vibes, which I enjoy, especially in the winter time. So like, I don't know, I think plant care in the winter is pretty fun. Because in the summertime, I'm more motivated to just like spend time outside and not inside taking care of my houseplants. But when all I can do is look at my houseplants, I feel like I'm around them a lot more, so I'm noticing them needing help more often, if that makes sense. So, but then again, sometimes in the winter you just really don't feel motivated to do anything, or you feel like you need a break. So I really get it both ways. It kind of depends on the week, to be honest. So how do you guys feel in the winter? More motivated or less motivated? This is my ficus elastica teneki, and I feel like literally every single week these leaves need to be dusted off because they're so broad and they collect so much dust. It's ridiculous. But this is a plant that I put outside over the summer, and it does really well in the summertime, but then the bottom leaves tend to drop off. Although I've noticed it has a few growth points. I don't know if you can see that. There's a growth point right there that's just beginning. Can you see that? And then there's also one down here underneath this leaf. But I don't know if you can really tell because it's so tiny. This is my philodendron mayoi, and I honestly think that this plant is super underrated. Although its leaves also get super dusty. But like, look at these leaves. Ugh. I will say, I don't have to water this plant very often, like maybe once every 3 weeks. Like, it really is super drought tolerant. But sometimes the drought tolerant plants are the ones that you forget about watering because like they're fine most of the time. But yesterday I looked at this plant and it was like it was so wilted and looked so sad. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I immediately went and watered it. And as of today, like less than 24 hours later, it is perfectly plump. It looks like nothing happened. Like no leaves are even browning off or like looking bad. Like it looks great. So I'm honestly very impressed with how low maintenance this plant has been. Now, to be fair, it does get a lot of light, but it's looking so nice. I love it. It's beautiful. I think this Alocasia dragon scale is gonna be the last plant whose leaves I touch up. Because again, this one also has really broad leaves and they get super dusty. Although it also has a lot of ridges, so I have to be really thorough to get in all those little crevices on the leaf. See, it has such a good texture to it. I love it. I think that's going to be it for this video. It was really fun to just have some time with my plants, especially with it being so cold outside, but it's like nice and warm in here. And I have my humidifier running and everything, so it's like warm next to the grow light and nice and humid next to the humidifier. And I'm like, I feel like I'm in a tropical wonderland among all my plants. But hopefully my plants enjoyed it. And I hope that you enjoyed this video too. So if you did, please feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. All those things are super helpful for my channel. And I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.